Am I the a-hole stories? Family drama. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go visit my sister and her newborn? I, 32 female, was diagnosed with breast cancer 3.5 years ago. It was a horrific experience and I have gone through a lot both physically and mentally. My then fiancé and I were staying at my parents' house while I was receiving treatment. My ex-fiancé became distant from me and started arguing with me all the time and causing me stress. I noticed his behavior changed completely towards me. I found out eventually that he got together with my sister, and I still have no idea how long this had been going on. I gave him a week to pack his things and leave. Next thing I knew, both him and my sister moved out, and that's how the rest of the family found out. It made my treatment less effective and I was depressed the whole time. My parents cut contact with my sister for a few months, until I moved out. I met my now boyfriend in about a year. He is a sweet and educated man that I wish I met years ago. He is my rock, and I always feel loved and supported by him. I kept a distance between me and my parents, since they stayed in contact with my sister, and visited her regularly after she and my ex-fiancé got married. She recently gave birth to their baby boy and my parents visited me with pictures of him and wanted me to look at my nephew. They started talking about how devastated my sister is, and how her happiness isn't complete without me, and wanted me to have a relationship with my nephew. I was feeling so uncomfortable when my parents were talking. I told them I will not be going to see her and her newborn after what happened. They said that I was holding a grudge, and that this is my sister no matter what happens between us. They accused me of dividing the family and being too sensitive. I had it with them insisting. I told them that I will not be visiting her despite their attempt at reunion, and I was so mad they didn't even think about how I would feel. I told them to leave, and they didn't like that. The next day they told me to decide whether I still want to be a part of this family, and if so, then I needed to make things right with my sister, if not then I shouldn't expect them to be around with this behavior of mine. I didn't reply to their text, but I was so mad and felt stressed out the entire day. My boyfriend knew what happened, and was hurt my parents didn't even take time to see him. He says he's at a loss for words, seeing how my family is willing to cut me out over something like this. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't split the family. Your sister did by hooking up with your fiancé. You are the innocent one, not her. If they are so worried about family, they should have dealt with your sister. You have every right to cut that toxicity out of your life 100%. I don't know why they think that. Just because I want to put the past behind along with everyone who caused hurt and heartache. It's been years, but I still have the same anger and frustration that they caused me while I was at my lowest, and now, they're casually wanting a relationship with me and completely forgetting what they did. Not the a-hole. Forgiveness is not demanded, it's given when the person is ready. They gave you an ultimatum. I take them up on that. They are welcome to move on with their lives without you, and you will move on without them. They keep pressuring me and making it look like I'm in the wrong for still bringing up what my sister did. They keep blaming my ex and say that they don't have a good relationship with him, but keeping the peace for my sister. I know him, my ex is a narcissistic jerk who only cares about himself. He made my life hell and I just can't stand to see him again. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook for my boyfriend's daughter even though she had a breakdown? I have been dating this guy, Mark, who has a 14-year-old kid, Jennifer, for a while now. I have only met her a couple of times, so we aren't that close. I started seeing her often after I moved in with Mark, during his custody time. We get along fine and I think we are bonding well. There is just one issue. Since I grew up in poverty, I hate wasting food. Jennifer has an issue with food. I am not talking about being a little cranky when hungry. She would cry and scream, and even break things if dinner gets delayed by half an hour. During her last visit, work was very hectic for me and Mark. Mark had to go to office while I worked from home. Since I knew how busy I would be end of day, and how Jennifer gets, I woke up early, prepare breakfast, lunch and dinner. I informed her the same. End of day, I am in so many meetings and calls, and Jennifer barged in 15 past her dinner time and told me to serve her dinner. I reminded her that the dinner was in the fridge and all she had to do was heat it up. She comes back 15 minutes later and told me that she threw the food away, and now she wanted me to give her a snack for the time being and make her something else. I told her that I am not going to do that and then locked myself inside the study. I could hear her screaming and crying and I refused to give in. Once my work was done, 2 hours later, she was still crying. She never heated the dinner. She tried it cold, Didn't like it, threw the entire dinner for 3 away, and then started demanding me for a freshly cooked dinner. She begged me to cook her something, and I told her that I already did cook her something, and that she threw it away. I told her she can either cook for herself, or wait until her father comes home and he can cook for her. I went to bed hungry as I was so tired. Next day, Mark told me that he didn't get home until midnight and she was still sobbing when he arrived. Although he agrees that Jennifer was acting entitled, he also says that I should have just cooked her something once my work was done, as I knew about her food issues instead of letting her cry for hours. I got pissed off and told him that I am not cooking for either of them anymore. Am I the a-hole here? Edit, she isn't diagnosed with anything. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, barring any serious special needs, this should have been nipped in the bud years ago. I could cook my own dinner, a basic grilled cheese, at 8 or 9. I certainly wouldn't throw away food enough for 3 people. Sometimes there has to be a harsh lesson, that the world doesn't revolve around you. Edit to add, I say this as someone who gets panic attacks from the sugar drop when I don't eat. Yeah, unless I'm missing something, that doesn't sound like food issues. It sounds like child who has never been given boundaries. She's 15, she can fry an egg or use a microwave. Not the a-hole. Is she okay? Having a meltdown at 14 because food is a little late is quite extreme. And, to still be sobbing by midnight. Maybe she needs therapy? Edit, for the record I never suggested she might be neurodivergent. Breaking things, screaming and crying because your food is a little late at the age of 14, isn't healthy in the slightest. Dad needs to sort something out, especially if things are the same at her mom's. I agree, if she has such a rigid eating schedule, there is probably something else going on. Not the a-hole, OP. I know this gets thrown around here too much, but could she possibly be on the spectrum? This story suggests that she lacks emotional regulation skills and social/practical skills as well. I'd get her checked out to be honest. Not the a-hole. She threw the food away. You are not her cook or maid to do what she wishes. Unless she has a medically diagnosed problem, throwing away food for 3 people cannot be condoned, when both of you are working. That said, why is Mark enabling her behavior? Does he expect you or himself to cook for her entire life? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole, for refusing to go to my brother's wedding after he told me not to bring my husband with me? My 29 female brother's 33 male wedding is on Sunday. Everyone helped with paying for the wedding except for me, because I had other things to take care of. My husband got into an accident that caused a severe spinal cord injury that left him wheelchair-bound for 2 years now. My brother got upset I didn't help with paying, but then told me it was okay. My brother doesn't have the best relationship with my husband, and there were a lot of arguments between them in the past. My family would visit regularly and my brother asked what my husband does, since I work and take care of my husband and pay for things. I never complained, so I'm not sure why he'd say this. He'd tell me he's concerned that life will pass me by if I stayed like this and enabling my husband's attitude. My brother would complain whenever he asks me to do something for him and his fiancée, and I'd tell him I'm busy taking care of my husband at the time between therapy, doctor's appointments, and going out to buy stuff from the store. 2 days ago, my brother called me to tell me about sending an invitation, and said that I should leave my husband at home and come alone. I was so mad at him, I tried to find out why, but he told me that it's just a few hours, and that he found it unnecessary to burden myself with my husband, and that I should get a break. I told him that I will not be coming to his wedding after he told me this, and immediately hung up on him. He tried to call and basically said the same thing, trying to convince me. He then had his fiancée calling me. She probably heard that I wasn't coming, but I didn't answer her calls. My mom spoke with me and complained that she was okay with me missing on family dinners/celebrations, but I should come to my brother's wedding since my relatives asked to see me. This caused an argument between me and my family. My husband knew eventually from all these phone calls I was receiving. He remained quiet all day, which was unusual, and he finally broke down at night and started crying, saying that my brother probably didn't want him there because of being in a wheelchair. I was so devastated and didn't know what to say. I called my mom after that, and told her I wasn't going to attend. She went on about how I was trying to make my brother upset on his wedding day, and how this will cause him hurt that he may not be able to forget in his lifetime. My dad wants to visit to talk to me and I'm feeling so tired because of this. Now for the top comments. So, let me get this straight. Your brother is 33 and expected everyone to help pay for his wedding? Your spouse had a major traumatic event and he's expected to easily find employment? He told you that your spouse is not welcome in the family? Big ol' not the a-hole for me today, and a big ol' brother needs to grow up. I don't know why he thinks I should pay, but because my family never tells him no, then I should do the same. Oh my god, so much enabling here. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your brother doesn't seem to comprehend marriage vows, specifically the in sickness part. Perhaps you should go to the wedding and explain it to him, during the ceremony. Yes. Interrupt it at that part and explain how it applies to your marriage. Ask if he's sure he's willing to do the same. Now for the last story. Would I be the a-hole if I tell my mom her husband is the reason I decided to live with my dad? My parents divorced when I was 2 and my mom met her husband when I was 5 and my brother was 9. He was alright at first, and then once he and my mom got married, he became this really overbearing and jealous person who competed with our dad for the title of dad. He asked us twice to call him dad. The day after the wedding, and then 4 years later on his birthday. Both times he got upset when we said no. The few times I talked about something I did with my dad, he would jump in to suggest we should do it together, which made me not want to talk about it. Other times, like one year, Father's Day was coming up, and my brother gave me some money so we could buy our dad a gift. Our mom and her husband were asking what we were buying, and my brother told them and things got awkward. Her husband walked off and she asked if we were getting 2 Father's Day gifts or just the one. My brother asked her why it was important, and she said she was just curious. Later that day, we got back and my mom's husband said, it hurt his feelings that we would buy a gift for our dad when we were with him. There was one year my school had this dumb father-daughter dance. My dad and I both agreed it was dumb and we decided to go see a movie, grab some food, and make a fun night out of it instead of the dance. My mom's husband had asked me to go with him before, and I turned him down, and then he was hurt that instead of going to the dance with him, I chose to skip the dance with my dad. We had numerous things like that over the years. It drove my brother far away, and he doesn't really speak to our mom anymore and has not seen either of them since he moved out for college. I moved in with my dad, but never told my mom why. Mostly because I know she will take his side. Now she's asking for total honesty. Would I be the a-hole if I tell her? Now for the top comments. No a-holes here. You have your dad. You didn't ask for new one. You should have said this out loud some point, but shouldn't be problem to tell it now. And on the other hand, your mom's husband sounds like a man who just wanted to be dad. Did they not have kids together? But could not understand it's not him to decide, but you and your bro. He doesn't sound like an evil person. Not the a-hole. I disagree. The fact that a grown man gets his feelings hurt and actually sulks over the fact that his wife's children don't just emotionally replace their actual dad with him, just because their mom replaced her husband, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make him evil, but it does make him an a-hole. My father did what OP's mom does, replaced our mom with a new woman and expected us to just play family. It was so awkward, because his new wife was not okay with this. She did not want to replace our mom, who was still very much alive. This is the reason I have a better relationship with my stepmom than with my father. My brother and I were adults and had the freedom and independence to handle this as we saw fit. OP and her brother were children when stepdad came into their lives. He's been a would-be usurper trying to replace their still alive and present dad for 10 years, and he hasn't yet grasped that his job is to be a good stepdad, respectful of the existing relationship with their actual dad, but he has instead tried to copy the dad, and he has even guilt-tripped children. He sounds like an overgrown child himself, and definitely like an a-hole. Not the a-hole. Stepdad sounds like he immediately tried to take on the primary dad role, even though your dad was very much there and active. Asking you to call him dad, wanting to copy outings, and presumptuously inviting you to the father/daughter dance, kind of sealed his fate. I don't blame you for not having a close relationship, and not wanting to be near someone who is pushing hard for you to love him just as much as your real father. He did just about everything wrong, and I say this as a step-parent to a teenager who I have a really good relationship with. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.